are back at New Rochelle at Iona University for the second edition of the One and Done radio show. I am thankful for everyone who tuned in and watched and showed love to the first ever episode talking. I think it went pretty well in terms of time and pace and stuff like that, but I guess we'll never know how well we do until we are 4 years in the future and I am successful. But I guess this is the start of something new. Every Tuesday at 5 o'clock, you will see me and we will be talking basketball. It's been a rough couple weeks, a rough last week in terms of you know basketball for me. Kind of been a little upset. Things have happened. The trade deadline happened. A lot of rough moves for my team as I talked about last week. But we are here to talk about every other team and how they improved and how they got worse. But that doesn't take away from the fact that I will be talking about the Mavericks first. I still believe we should fire Nico Harrison. That was, you see, for those of you who don't know, Luka just made his Laker debut yesterday. They destroyed the Jazz. They looked dominant in terms of three ball handlers on the court who are be honest, like top tier playmakers and top tier floor setters in Austin Reeves, LeBron, and Luca, and they're all at the same on the court at the same time. I think that they are better than the Mavericks currently in terms of playoff ability. We see. Oh, that didn't take away the fact that A dominant. He he also came and debuted for the Mavericks on Saturday against the Rockets. They won the game, but that doesn't take away from the fact that AD got hurt and he might be out for a couple months, which is just hilarious in terms of, oh, we traded for AD to win now and he's out for a couple months. So this should tell you that the Mavericks already lost a trade. A weekend, they already lost it by a lot. It didn't take a year, it didn't take 2 years, it didn't take us Luka winning a championship for the Lakers. It's over already. the the Mavericks are in the worst season they've ever had. They injuries upon injuries upon injuries. Lively's out for 2 months. Daniel Gafford just got hurt against the Kings last night. Anthony Davis is out for a couple months. PJ Washington's in and out. This is a rough stretch for us Maverick fans. And Mavericks aren't doing too well. Jason Kidd didn't talk to the press after the game yesterday. Seems about done. Kyrie keeps talking about how he misses Luka because it's not like he asked for a trade. He just got traded. I think we need to move in a different direction instead of just ejecting fans from the arena for saying anything you guys don't like them to say. Mark Cuban got in a dispute with fans. They got kicked out the arena. The guy who mouthed "Fire Nico" on the jumbotron when it was karaoke, he got kicked out the arena. Some kids got kicked out the arena. I think they're trying to defend Nico Harrison because I guess that's the big figure in their organization. But there is no defending what he did. Patrick Dumont, you are a clown. For those who also didn't see, Patrick Dumont spoke to the media talking about Luka and saying, we need a guy who has a strong work ethic and is willing to put in the work. He mentioned names like Michael Jordan, Kobe, Larry Bird, Shaq. And it's kind of funny because like Shaq is notoriously known for like being 400 pounds and like being out of shape, but still being dominant and playing his way into shape at the start of the season, as he said himself on his own shows. But that, I mean, I guess just shows you how little Patrick Dumont knows about basketball and why he having a say in basketball operations is a problem, and why he honestly deferred all the basketball operations to Nico Harrison, which he inevitably messed it up. But yeah, I'm upset. I'm angry. Luka looked good last night. Not in terms of like he looked rusty, but he looked like he will find his way into his offense, and it will be a big problem because the Lakers are already on a tear. They're already like 9-1 in the last 10 games. And now they just added Luka, who's there to just be a second ball handler. Not even second, third ball handler, but like, it's hard to watch. I watched it last night. It was really sad knowing that I was also watching the Mavericks game. DeRozan hit a game winner on us at 40 piece. We had Omax as center. because all their centers are hurt. Even Dwight Powell is hurt. It's a rough season. And you can't punt on the season because you gave up Luka Doncic. So it's like, nah, you gotta win. You gotta get healthy. It's rough out here. But we are here to talk about the trade deadline, even though that was definitely the biggest move, the trade deadline. We have already talked about it. We are here to move on to the other big trades. It was a insane trade deadline. Um, let's talk about the biggest move first. Let me find it. The second biggest move, which is De'Aaron Fox, the Spurs. Wemby got his point guard for the future. And as you don't know, they traded De'Aaron. It was a 3-team deal. So the Spurs got De'Aaron Fox and Jordan McLaughlin. The Kings received Zach LaVine, Sidi Sissoko, who I'm pretty sure they cut 3 firsts and 2 seconds. It does sound right, but I will explain later why it's not. And the Bulls received Zach Collins, Kevin Huerter, and Trey Jones, and a first. Biggest loser in this trade for sure is the Bulls. They gave up Zach LaVine for Zach Collins, Kevin Huerter, and Trey Jones, who will not be on the roster next year. The Bulls have 6 point guards. They started 4 of them: Giddey, Ball, White, and Dosunmu, and then Vucevic. It's definitely a lineup. Zach LaVine, I mean, you got pretty much pennies out of Zach LaVine when he was playing at I guess, most valuable moment. But I understand you guys wanted to get rid of him anyway. The Kings, wow, the Kings on paper it looks good in terms of picks, but if you really look at it, the 2025 first round pick for the Hornets, if it is lottery protected, and the Hornets are 11 and 30, so they're going to be in the lottery. The pick is going to be deferred to a second round pick, so they're getting a second round pick, so basically 4. The 2027 Spurs pick, you just gave him De'Aaron Fox and they have Wemby. They're going to be good for the next 10 years in terms of like they're not going to be a lottery team. So that pick is pretty much useless. And the Timberwolves pick, 2031. We don't know what the Timberwolves will be. They have Anthony Edwards, but we never know. Because, traded Cat, Julius Randle. It's not looking too good. And so basically you got 1 useless first round pick, 4 seconds, and a first for De'Aaron Fox, which he clearly didn't want to be there. We knew that when Mike Brown was a coach, and Mike Brown was kind of throwing him under the bus. But I guess he got his way out. He was hooping a little bit. Now he's hooping with the Spurs. They played a couple games. I'll read you what he did. He did show out. Him and Wemby do look dangerous together. It is something to reckon, because we are going to be watching that for the next couple of years. The duo of De'Aaron Fox and Wemby. They had combined for 61 last night. So De'Aaron Fox, great player. He's a defender. He's a great playmaker. He can play off the ball, fast. But I think just the fit of another guy next to Wemby is going to work. And Wemby's a great player. As we already know, he's 21, second year. So he will be great for the next couple of years. It's his league at this point. And then the Kings. The Kings got Zach LaVine and Sidi Sissoko. All right, sorry for going off track. Zach LaVine, he's on the Kings. But if you really think about it, what are the Kings building? What is their goal? They have Sabonis, DeRozan, LaVine, Malik Monk, Keegan Murray starting lineup. That is like 4 negative defenders and like 1 competent one. Sabonis is not as bad as we all think, but he's not some elite rim protector. You got scorers. DeRozan did kill us last night, but I'm not taking that serious because it was Omax Prosper led like rim protection. Like it's Kessler Edwards. It was bad. He was hooping though, but I'm telling you, this team has no direction in terms of they're not gonna be good enough to make a run. They're gonna be playing demons for the next 2-3 years until everyone ends up leaving. The Kings lost not only this trade, they lost the Tyrese Halliburton trade for the Sabonis. They made a lateral move. They made the trade just to break the streak of the playoffs because they hadn't been in 15 years. They got Sabonis and boom, they make the playoffs. But what did they do? They lost in the first round. The next year they they lost in the play-in. And this year, what are they bound to do? They're going to lose in the play-in again. And then now it's back to square one since you got rid of De'Aaron Fox because he didn't want to be there. You have old DeRozan, who was 35. Zach Levine he's nice, but like, it's what's the direction here? I just don't understand what they were thinking when they just made lateral moves. Because I guess that's their franchise. They're just a lateral team. I also I like I like Keon Ellis. I like Keegan Murray. Keegan Murray's having an off year, but from my knowledge, but that is from that is pre-trade. I really haven't been keeping up with the Kings. Breaking news: waiving Christian Wood, the Lakers sign Alex Len. We got a center. So we can move on from this trade. I would say, in my overall opinion, the Spurs definitely got the best deal out of this trade. In fact, that they didn't even give up majority of their young players. They didn't give up Vassell, Keldon Johnson, Sochan, or Castle. They kept Chris Paul, who's there. Who's pretty much a rental. He's really their mentor. They mentor the guards, Wemby, all of them. Chris Paul, he's a Hall of Famer. But I also think that they clearly won because they have their whole future ahead of them, and they could win now. Not win like, but playoffs, play in, win now. It's like a good start to their eventual future. I think the Bulls lost this trade by a lot. They got no compensation. They are a terrible organization. This is the only trade they made, and they were just pretty much like throw-ins. Trey Jones, another point guard. Kevin Herter, terrible. Like, he can't even shoot anymore. Kevin Herter can't play defense. He's not good. I think it's time for that management team to get fired, that owner to sell the team. But they won't because they're the Bulls and they won in the 90s. So they have that reputation. The Reinsdorf family. I think Bulls are clear losers. At the end of the episode, we will be going through the 3 biggest winners and 3 biggest losers. So look forward to that. But yeah, I think if I were to rate it, Spurs get an A, Kings get a C minus, and the Bulls get I'm gonna give it a D minus too because that's really bad, honestly. And I'm not going through the trade that has happened. I'm going through the trade that has been rescinded. The Lakers, they trade for their big man for the future just for it to get resigned, and now Dalton Connect is back on the Lakers. So the original trade was, if I can find it, I'm gonna be exact here. Sorry for it was okay. So the Lakers received Mark Williams, 23-year-old big man with clear injury problems. The Hornets received Dalton Connect, Cam Reddish, and a 2031 unprotected first that the Lakers had, and the 2030 pick swap. Now, this would have been a great move if Mark Williams wasn't Glass from the Unbreakable movie, Mr. Glass. I think that guy is made of like the weakest thing you can find. You know how crazy it is for the Lakers to really feel like they got their center for the future, and you couldn't even pass your physical, and they had to resend it back. They clearly did not want Dalton Connect. Dalton Connect clearly does not want to be there. Cam Reddish was really just a end of bench guy with like Cam Reddish's whole career is based off that one Anthony Edwards clip of him saying Cam Reddish was the hardest guy for me to guard. That's really his whole career at this point. It's really just all hype and praise from like his high school days. He peaked in high school. But they got rid of their pick and they got all of it back. Mark Williams back to the Hornets. Probably the awkwardest thing you can do, getting traded at 23. Like they probably told him he was a future. He's gone now. If not this year, he'll definitely not this year. You can't trade him now. He'll get traded soon, if not cut, since he can't even pass physicals at this point. His back must be really bad. Like that's kind of crazy. I was looking forward to it because the Mavs built with Luka. They had Derek Lively and Gafford, the duo, and you get Mark Williams. You get Mark Williams for the future. He's 23. Luka's 25, 26. So I feel like Rob Pelinka did a good job, even though apparently he didn't propose this trade. The Hornets offered it to them, knowing that they needed a big man, which is like good job on the Hornets. Like professional scammers, get rid of Mark Williams when he's hurt, knowing he's gonna be injury prone for the rest of his career. Get rid of him while you can, while he's at an all-time high. He's averaging like 15 and 9 or something. He was balling. and on my fantasy team too. But yeah, it was I love the move, but it's just sad that they got resigned it because for both teams they worked out. Hornets get not young star because he's older than Mark Williams, but they get their shooter for LaMelo. They lose their center, but they're obviously gonna they're gonna switch and adapt to another big man because they didn't draft him. I think the new ownership didn't draft him. So I don't think they felt the type of way that the old ownership did, like with drafting him. So they're gonna go look for another big man that they can pair next to LaMelo, possibly build their future. If LaMelo doesn't leave by the time they try to do that, it's looking grim over there in Charlotte. LaMelo can't stay healthy. You employ Mr. 27 days. Brandon Miller's out for the season. Got Nurkic on your team. Nurkic is definitely a player. I think it's just punt on the season. It's over. As the rest of your guys for next year. But for I can't grade the trade because it's not happening. But Lakers would have received a B plus in terms of like, yes, he's injury prone, but you got the guy that you really needed. And like all these like concerns about his defense, you put anyone on a team with the Lakers, knowing what their expectations are, they definitely would. They wouldn't just like stand around and watch. But I guess we'll never know because he won't play for the team. So on to the next trade. This trade, I see the vision, but right message, wrong messenger. The Bucks trade for Kyle Kuzma. The Bucks receive Kyle Kuzma from the Wizards. This is a multi-team deal, but this didn't all happen at once. So the trade recap has it, but it's not. It was Kyle Kuzma. This is eventually what happened. Kyle Kuzma, Jericho Sims, a 2025 second round pick, 2026 second round pick. The Wizards receive Chris Middleton, AJ Johnson, and a first round pick swap. This is a combining trade. It was really just Kuzma and picks for Middleton, AJ Johnson, and the first. We'll talk about that because these other two are just like throw-ins at this point. You get younger. Chris Middleton clearly wasn't himself. I think the injury that like stopped him from starting the beginning of the year, and he's really getting old. I want to find out how old Chris Middleton is. He's 30 something. But beyond that, I think Kuzma is not the player we all think he is. Kuzma is. This is me being biased here, but I don't like Kyle Kuzma. In terms of playing wise, not even his personality, because I don't care about that. But like his abilities, he's not what we all think he is. Sorry, I'm trying to find out how old this guy is. Ranked 32. What do we do? Sorry, actually, it doesn't. Wait. Oh, he's 33. Chris Middleton's 33 years old. Wasn't himself. You clearly want to win now. You have Damon Giannis. Giannis is clearly disgruntled. He has shown this plenty of times. That's why I like Giannis. He puts his thing on the table and he shows he's like, I want to win. That's what I want to do. That's what he did when he got Drew Holiday. Like he's put pressure on the front office. I feel like that's what a good player should do. Hot take. A passive superstar is not going to win. We saw this with Steph Curry. We saw this when he clearly didn't show, like he clearly wanted to win, but he never put pressure on the front office, like starting to leave. LeBron did this and his team got better because they realized that if we don't make this deal, like LeBron's gone, our star player's gone, we're going to have to adapt and adjust. Giannis is doing the same thing. He did the same thing in 2020. He's doing the same thing now. Is it to the same level as in 2020? You got Drew Holiday and you got Bogdanovich, but I'm pretty sure he didn't want to go there, so it didn't happen. I remember that. I remember thinking like it was like Drew Holiday, Bogdanovich, Middleton, Giannis, and I was like, wow, this is a team. This is a squad. But it was just Drew Holiday, and then what did they do? They ended up winning. Yes, they would have lost the Nets if they were healthy, but that's not. They won. It's how it is. It's in history. They won. And that's successful. Giannis did his job in terms of putting pressure and getting them to do the right thing for the right reason. I think you try to do that now. Kuzma, not. I mean, he's a long wing. He can't. I can't even like talk about Kuzma. He can't score. He's just like a goofball kind of. And it's good move in essence. Like you get younger, you get what seems to be a guy who can put the ball on the floor, even though he clearly had his worst, like he's not having his worst year ever, and this is saying a lot. So I I can see it, but I don't see it. But it's just me being biased. I can't really. This is the wrong person to ask here. So they also gave up AJ Johnson. You know, solid, like he's a piece. A piece you throw in, but you don't really worry about here. Maybe I'm just a casual, but I don't know. I see. I would grade this trade for the Wizards. This is clearly a salary dump. Chris Middleton's probably gone by the end of the year. I'll give it a I'll give it a nice D. And for the Bucks, I'll give it a C plus because I see what you did, but it's the wrong guy to do it for. You get what I'm saying? Wrong guy to go trade for. Because Kyle Kuzma, yes, he's won with the Lakers, but he was like he's not he would the his role in the Lakers wasn't the role you're putting him in now. Because we saw at the beginning of the year how, it was like, oh, Kuzma's the third option, and then that never happened. Kuzma would never ended up being the third option because he was clearly not good enough. All right, now I'm trying to find this here. Next trade. So yeah. Boom. Oh, Wizards. Back with the Wizards. The Wizards acquire Marcus Smart from the Grizzlies. The trade belongs to this is I don't know why they do this. I gotta on the original report. This is a 3-team deal. The Wizards receive Marcus Smart, Colby Jones, Alex Len, and a 2025 first from the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies receive 2 seconds, Marvin Bagley and Johnny Davis, 10th overall pick, probably the least important one. And the Kings receive Jake LaRavia, solid piece. Helps the Kings with what they need in terms of shot making and defense. So for the Kings, it's really you really throw in nothing. You throw in Alex Len and you get Jake LaRavia. It's a good trade out. Um, the Kings definitely, not really much to be talked about here. The Wizards, though, they get Marcus Smart, former Defensive Player of the Year. He hasn't been doing too hot in the Grizzlies. I feel like Marcus Smart on the Grizzlies is like it's just like the most forgettable like era of a role player ever. Name like right now, think of one Marcus Smart moment from the Grizzlies. I'll give you whatever you want if you can name me one like good moment. I just really can't think of one. I remember in the Mavericks game, he shot him out the game in the play-in, but hey, that's not it. The Grizzlies receive Marvin Bagley and Johnny Davis, 2 throw-ins, salary dumps. Salary, they're gone. They're getting cut soon. Marvin Bagley, this guy went over Luka Doncic in the draft. What a career, honestly. He's been bouncing around from like bottom feeder to bottom feeder. He was on the Pistons. He was on the Kings. Back to the Kings. Wow. No, he's back to the Grizzlies. Sorry. That's on me. I just think the Wizards made moves in terms of getting off of contracts and getting players who are probably gonna get bought out so they have salary to improve for next year. The thing about the Wizards though, they are god awful. So what are we really improving to? We don't know, but I guess the effort is what counts. You're building Alex Sarr, Bub Carrington, Tyshawn George, Alex Sarr. You got a young core there. You could improve with Chris Middleton, a vet, Marcus Smart, a vet. See how that works out. Corey Kispert, shooter. I like that from guy from Gonzaga. Um, yeah. For the Wizards, I would grade it a that's a C plus because you get off salaries, but you really don't move anywhere in terms of getting a Marcus Smart veteran. It's a salary dump. I mean, it's just a salary. A salary dump trade is going to be a C plus for the rest of these gradings. And for the Grizzlies, you get off of Marcus Smart. You clearly didn't like him there. He clearly wasn't as valuable as he could be for other teams. Your team is deep, so it really doesn't matter because you got a lot of guards. You got Pippen Jr., you got Ja, Desmond Bain. You guys can put the ball on the floor. Conchar. I like it. Salary dump. I'll give that a B because you clearly didn't want him and you clearly realized he's not for your team. The Kings, I'll give him a plus. Jake LaRavia. He's okay. He's a good, put the ball on the floor. He's a shot maker. Now, oh, I forgot about this trade. This should have been the second trade talked about. Sorry. The Warriors acquired Jimmy Butler from the Miami Heat. The Butler saga is over. What a what a couple years, couple stretch from 2020, 1920. They got there. I remember the reporter said Jimmy Butler is there just to lose. They end up making the four seed or the fifth seed, four seed, fifth seed, the middle of the East. They go on a run in the bubble and they make it to the finals, which I remember watching. And I was like, wow, the Heat, like they're together. I thought they were gonna beat the Lakers. It was a little foolish of me because I kind of didn't like put together that like AD and LeBron are just it's unstoppable when you have like no size and you have like Hero and Robinson on the court at all times. But yeah, they did that. 2021, it was a disappointment. Lost in the first round. 2022, they were the first seed, and Jimmy Butler went on another run. I think that was a crazy year in terms of wow, they actually put it all together, became the first seed. Tyler Hero was the sixth man of the year. Bam, Depoy conversations. He's been a perennial Depoy conversations. And they lost in the Eastern Conference Finals, Game 7. Jimmy Butler couldn't hit a pull-up three, but you could tell that they were going to be back. That's when the black magic started with the shooting. And in 2023, 8th seed, they lose the first playing game to the was it the Bull? No, it was not the Bulls. They lose the first playing game to the Hawks, and then they come back and they beat I think the Bulls. Yeah, they beat the Bulls. Or this was last year. I think I'm getting my years mixed up, but they ended up the A seed and they beat the 1 seed Bucks. That's only happened so many times. Jimmy Butler was the catalyst for that. He had that crazy game 4. Um, that was an insane game. They had like 56. And then they beat the Bucks. They move on in 5. They play the Knicks. They clearly look like the better team. Jalen Brunson put on a performance. I remember that. But they won that. They move on to the Celtics. They go up 3-0, and then they have like the biggest heart attack. If I was a Heat fan during that series, I might have been like praying every day, like hoping like this doesn't like if we blow a 3-0 lead, I don't know what I would do. And they get it to game 7 just to like blow them out in game 7. So it feels like so anticlimactic for what? And then they made the finals. That's their second finals appearance in 4 years. And I mean, that's a successful stint in terms of like any player. They lose in the finals to Jokic. Jokic, they couldn't do anything about it. There was no answers. That was a dominant year for Jokic. The one year hit him with MVP, won the finals. So it's like I think there might be a trend here. So let's give him the MVP this year, so he can lose in the second round again. But they do that the next year. It's a contract year. He's playing Pat Riley. Pat Riley is Pat Riley. He puts his thing on the table and he doesn't budge. He does whatever he wants to do because he's Pat Riley. He has the reputation of being that guy who can bring championships and win. And then they get in a dispute. I'm pretty sure at the end of the season. So like the season went to like it was another 8 seed playoff play-in type of thing. They in the first playing game, Jimmy Butler gets hurt. So they go in without Jimmy Butler. They beat was it the Hawks? It was the Hawks. They beat the Bulls. The Bulls beat the Hawks, and then they beat the Bulls. And they go and play the Celtics for like the third time in 4 years. No, fourth time in 5 years. And they lose, without Jimmy Butler. There's no stopping them. The Celtics last year. And then in the offseason, Jimmy Butler goes and he says, "Oh, if I was playing, oh, we would have got rid of the Knicks, we would have got rid of the Celtics, we would have got rid of this." And then Pat Riley steps in and was like, "Don't speak if you're not playing." Like pretty much just like shut up and just like dribble. Like if you really want to talk, just shut up and dribble. Like don't talk until you prove yourself. I feel like, in my opinion, that's when it was over. The Jimmy Butler era was done. He came in this season, got hurt back and forth, and then the suspension started, and you can clearly tell he didn't want to be there. Remember the first reaction to the post game was like, "I lost my joy," and he was like, "Oh, how do you get your joy back?" He's like, "It's definitely not here." So I was for sure he was gonna get traded earlier, but the problem with Jimmy Butler is he doesn't budge either. It's like immovable force versus like unstoppable object. So it's like Jimmy Butler doesn't budge, Pat Riley doesn't budge. Jimmy Butler clearly wants to get extended. Pat Riley clearly does not want to extend a 35-year-old and with injury problems too, because he's been on and off getting hurt. And it just happened. Like it happened to the Warriors. The Warriors clearly seemed desperate. They clearly missed on a bunch of players during the deadline. There's so many reports that the Warriors wanted these guys, and it just never fell through. And then Jimmy Butler. The original report was that Jimmy Butler was not signing an extension with the Warriors. So at that point, I thought it was over. And then we move on to like it's the 6th, right? It was the trade deadline the day before. No, my bad. I'm getting dates mixed up. That's mine. I gotta be better. The trade happens. Jimmy Butler's to the Warriors. I can tell you how I feel. This is the trade package. It's the Heat send the Warriors Jimmy Butler, 2 second-round picks, and cash considerations. The Heat receive Andrew Wiggins, Kyle Anderson, Davion Mitchell from the Raptors. This is a multi-team trade, by the way. Sorry for mentioning. And a 2025 protected first-round pick from the Warriors. The Jazz receive Josh Richardson, KJ Martin, seconds, and cash considerations. The Pistons received Lindy Waters and Dennis Schroeder. What a year for Dennis Schroeder. This guy is living in an RV at this point. And the Raptors received PJ Tucker, 2026, and cash. Throw-in. That's a C+. Pistons get Lindy Waters, Dennis Schroeder. They get a guard off the bench to back up Cade Cunningham. Dennis Schroeder, the way he was playing in Brooklyn this year, like we could all tell that was clearly like him playing his way to a competitor. But like he went to a competitor, not a competitor. The Warriors were definitely what is it, mid? That's what they were. And then he wasn't playing too great. Gets traded. He got traded to like the Jazz and then to the Pistons. It was like 3 teams in like 10 hours. Kind of crazy. Imagine just you're living, like you see the trade, you're like, oh, I'm probably going to the Heat. No, I'm going to Utah. And now you're going to Detroit. It's like you're just like they're playing with your feelings. And prayers up for Dennis Schroeder. This guy, oh, that guy, Dennis Schroeder had the craziest quote I've seen in a while. It was like, oh, us players are slaves. I can't believe like they treat us like slaves or their property. And it's like Dennis Schroeder, you get paid millions. You can walk into majority of the rooms in the world, and you'd be the most paid player in that room. So it's like, I don't think you quite understand the extent to what slaves were, how they just like had no rights to what they could do. They were owned by other people, which is insane. And I don't think he put it together that like we're not worse than slaves when we're living luxury lives and can really do whatever we want to do. Besides that, the Pistons, I'll give that a B. They get Lindy Waters. I remember watching a couple of Warriors games, and like Lindy Waters was productive, but like I just he's a player, you know? He's a player that you have. There's nothing to like be wowed about. Maybe it's just the Warriors way. It's like they have random players who just, you know, cuts the basket, pull up for a 3 and hit it. I'll go the Pistons a B for that. Dennis Schroeder, nice backup. The Jazz receive Josh Richardson, KJ Martin, and 2 seconds. That is a filler because Josh Richardson, former Maverick, he's nothing special. I don't think he's too good of a player. I've seen him for a majority of my Mavericks time in 2020, 2021. Wasn't good. Got benched. Came back. He was all right. But like, he's just a player. He'll probably rot on the Jazz. KJ Martin's going to pass around like a basketball. Right. Sixers. He was on the Clippers. On the Grizzlies. Maybe on the Grizzlies. I got a problem here. But hey, KJ Martin, he's all right. He'll get passed around. The Heat in this deal, they get Andrew Wiggins, Kyle Anderson, Davion Mitchell from the Raptors, and a 2025 first. Andrew Wiggins, great. Key piece to the Warriors winning a championship. Warriors fans better not miss him. I know he had his moments, but he also had his like moments of guarding the best player in the playoffs. You got a Tatum, you got a Luka. It was just you can't hate on Andrew Wiggins. He had an off year last year, but he also showed why he was worth what he was worth. Kyle Anderson, slow mo. He played 30 games for you. Doesn't matter. Kyle Anderson, great ball handler. Not a great ball handler. He's a. I remember the Mavs series. Is my one memory of Kyle Anderson. In the Mavs series, I hated when he was on the court in crunch time because I felt like he was more of a threat than like what they would originally have, like Rudy on the court. So when they went from it was like Rudy, Nas Reed, or Cat. They originally it was Rudy, Cat, Jaden McDaniels, and Mike Conley. They got rid of Cat because Cat in game two. Cat in game two was god awful. They went with Nas Reed, and then in game three they went with Kyle Anderson, which is kind of like I felt like he was more of a threat in terms of like late game playoff moments. But I guess that's just the moment because I really haven't been tuning into Kyle Anderson. But I guess we'll find out. Davion Mitchell, his idea is better than what he actually is. Like he's in and the idea of Davion Mitchell is like he's just some like really good like guard defender, pesky defender. He's there, but like in reality, he's a liability on the court in terms of offense. So you really can't run him, especially since he's such a small guard. Like there's nothing really you can. The idea better than the player, and then I would give that Andrew Wiggins. I'll give that a C. I won't give it a plus. No, I'll give it a B minus because Wiggins solid defender. He could definitely, I feel, fits the Heat type of play style culture. And Kyle Anderson, he definitely fits the Heat culture. Davion Mitchell, they got three defensive oriented guards or players who can also put the ball on the floor. So I feel like that's well, but in terms of like this is like in relation to the Kings. What is their direction? You got Tyler Hero, Bam, Khalil Ware. I guess that's your direction to build for the future, but like, what do you do now post Butler era, who is clearly your best player in these playoff runs? How does these work now? You can't be a perennial playoff play-in team and like, because that's just not gonna work. Eventually, you're gonna have to either go all in or tank or rebuild. But now that we see it, like we've seen it for years. Like the last 2 years, they just make the play in and think, oh yeah, we're the Heat. We're gonna lock in like at the end. But now you don't have the guy who's just like Jimmy Butler, who was your clear 1A guy in the playoffs and showed he not win a championship because both times he made the finals, it was really like a dominant like performance. Like we really knew like who was winning at the start. Like after the first game, we really knew. Even though Jimmy Butler in 2020 really had playoff of a lifetime, even then I never thought that he would have won after game one. It was too dominant. And then yeah, so I'll give that a B minus in terms of it's right in terms of getting the guy who didn't want to be there. He's 35. You got to move on. You have to pivot at some point, which they did. And they pivoted with Andrew Wiggins, who is 30, I'm pretty sure, but defender. And got some other pieces that are solid. So this could help you with your direction. I guess we'll see where you guys take it. But the Heat are also one of the best teams at drafting, so they'll be fine. The Heat are the Heat. They're just like the insects. Like they're there, but like they will do damage if you leave them unattended. So yeah, B minus. The Warriors get Jimmy Butler. Initially, I didn't like it because they paid him $60 million a year for 2 years. They extended a 36-year-old for 2 years for $60 million a year, which is kind of insane. That's like majority of your salary. But I like the move now. Like watching the last two games, I like the move. You take pressure off Steph Curry, which you have been needing to do for the last 2 years. You finally take off pressure off this 36-year-old small point guard who doesn't have to be face double teams constantly at night. Because when you do, you have Jimmy to punish you. He fits. He seems like a pretty seamless fit on this team. The only problem I have is because they're. Oh yeah, I don't have a problem. The Warriors are nice, man. I hate to say it. I hate to say the Warriors are nice because they've been nice my whole life. My whole life, like majority of my basketball watching, they've just been the best team, and I hate seeing them be the best team. I hate Warriors fans too, badly. I hate them so much, and I just I think it's a good move because you clearly put everyone on the same time span. Like Curry's 36, Draymond's 35, Butler's 35. We know what we have to do in these next couple of years. We have to win. It's championship or bust. I think championship or bust because if you lose, you only get older. Steph Curry only becomes older 1 year left from retiring, 1 year closer because we never know. With this year, LeBron's 40, he's still dominating. But like you really need to maximize your window now, which they did, and I like that for the Warriors because a team that knows or has a direction, I feel is the best type of team. You have the direction, I'm gonna tank, you're gonna tank. You wanna compete, you go all in. And they went all in. I like that for them. I'll give that an A. Watching these last 2 games, I'll give that an A. He's a seamless fit. They clearly chose a direction and winning. And now they have championship aspirations. But we gotta see how they play more against better teams. They played the Bucks without Giannis. They played the Bulls, who run 4 point guards. But I like it. I'll give that an A. And on to the last, I guess I'll say reasonable trade, like like trade people want to talk about. Brandon Ingram to oh no, there's 2 more. Sorry. Brandon Ingram to the Raptors. And as this, they re-signed him to a 3-year, 120, $40 million a year. They clearly went all in on Brandon Ingram. They clearly think he's the type of guy that they want. They traded Bruce Brown, Kelly Olynyk, a first and a second. Now, am I going to be biased? Probably. Brandon Ingram does not move the needle for me. Brandon Ingram in New Orleans, I thought they should have got rid of him 3 years ago. But like they did it. They kept holding on to him, thought he would be like him and Zion are the fit. They were never the fit. Herb Jones and Trey Murphy were always the better forward fits. They kind of rushed, they kind of like forced it. We saw last year in the playoffs, that was never gonna work. They went and got a true point guard, Brandon Ingram. Well, yes, they had a lot of injuries. I think Brandon Ingram was just he never fit on that team. Was that a him problem or was that a Pelicans problem? I guess we'll find out now. Now he's with the Raptors. I heard someone call the Raptors the king of the play-in because like they have quickly Barrett, Ingram, Scotty Barnes, Podol. It's like they got a good lineup on paper, but like that's like a play-in team if you really think about it. But yeah, I don't I can't say I don't like it because they clearly have a direction of young and ready for winning. They're clearly taking that route. It really just comes down to production, like how they produce with this lineup. On paper, the lineup's solid. Think about it. They got 3, 4. You have 4 ball handlers on the court who can really like just go to work. Quickly is a nice point guard. We've seen this currently when he's like, it was a stretch. Quickly was on a tear, and like you always think like he has like those moments, even on the Knicks, those moments. RJ Barrett, RJ Barrett's questionable. RJ Barrett has, RJ Barrett, the 3rd pick. He's more of an idea than like actual like products, but I think he has his moments. These players have their moments, which is crazy because they have a team full of guys with moments. Does that lead to success? We'll never know. But I like it. I would give it a for rating wise. Brandon Ingram, you signed him to 40 years. You got him for the future, the next 3. I'll give that a B. Because wait, how old is Brandon Ingram? I'm sorry. Sorry for not knowing this. BI is he's 27. Peak years of his prime. He could be. We know what he's gonna be. He's that type of guy that you don't want to. I think he's just sorry. He's just a guy, B. The Pelicans. That is, my opinion. That is a F trade. He traded Bi 2 years too late, and you got nothing in return for him. Bruce Brown, Kelly Olynyk. They're probably gonna get bought out soon. Pelicans have no like hopes of winning. You got Kelly Olynyk next to Zion, stretch 5. We'll see how that works. Bruce Brown, he doesn't even play basketball anymore. But hey, it happened. So for the Hawks, oh sorry, shot the load there. I would say, yeah, like I was saying, Pelicans got a F, Raptors get a B. Okay. Then on to the next trade. Cavs trade for DeAndre Hunter. They get DeAndre Hunter. They trade Karis LeVert, Georges Niang in 3 seconds and two pick swaps. I love this move for the Cavs. The Cavs get length. They get a wing who they desperately needed. They're like the Isaac Okoro's, Max Strus, Georges Niang project never worked. It was really just like once they get a guy at the small forward, they can compete, and they got their guy. They got DeAndre Hunter. He's a long wing. He's gonna be there. He's gonna plug in. He's gonna guard the best player on the other team. The only problem you could say is that he's injury prone. He has like his idea of him this year. Is he his what he is now, like for the last like month and 2 months of the year? Is that who he will be in terms of a guy who can put the ball on the floor, shoot, defend? Or is he really just a defender who's there to like play defense on the guys who are longer and need to have length on them? He plays in the East. He's gonna be guarding Tatum. He's probably gonna be guarding on the Knicks. I don't. He's definitely not guarding Brunson. He probably got like Bridges on the. No, he probably would guard Brunson. That's a tough matchup. I think the Knicks probably would beat them, but hey, me. But you also give up Karis LeVert, who really is he's a six man, but he never had. He's just like you have too many guards on that team. You have Garland, Mitchell, Ty Jerome. He really didn't fit in terms of like what they need. They don't need him. Like he was a guy who was there, but they never need him. Georges Niang, he's just like a shooter, but he's not what we really. It's not what they needed. Not what the Cavs needed. And they got rid of him, which is understandable. They got DeAndre Hunter, who they needed in terms of length, strength, shooting, and we'll see how it works. They got a dangerous five: Garland, Mitchell, Hunter, Mobley, Allen. I like that starting five. That's one of the better ones. But we just got to see how it works because they're still hooping, they're still balling. They forever will be balling. 40 wins this year. That's crazy. Imagine telling someone at the start of the year that the Cavs would be like the first seed in the East, and then when the Thunder would be on like 70-game pace at some point in the year. Well, not anymore, but like 40 wins. Let me find out. The Cavs got 40. They're 43-10. They got an 81% win percentage. It's crazy. Thunder 43-9. Crazy. What a year for those two. And it's crazy. Like we think the Celtics are having a down year, like in terms of last year, just 38-16. I think the East has caught up in terms of top tier talent, but they were always top heavy. We got the yeah. I think we talked about all the trades here. We got let me just see which else. Oh, Hawks trade Bogdanovich to the Clippers. Oh, this is a great one. Bogdanovich gets traded to the Clippers for Terrence Mann, Bones Highland, and 3 seconds. In terms of the Hawks, they got rid of all the players that Jalen Johnson's out for the year. DeAndre Hunter's gone. Bogdanovich is gone. What is their direction? I don't understand where they're going with this. Got it's like Trae Young clearly is disgruntled. He's disgruntled, and I don't understand. I don't understand what they were thinking when it came to trading him or trading these players away that he. Okay, I can look from both sides. Trae Young likes these players, but he wasn't going anywhere with them. The team clearly wasn't winning anything this year. Does Trae Young request a trade? I could see that happening. Where would he go? No idea, because we don't know what the market will look like at the end of the season. Who will be gone? Will he stay? I don't know. It's hard because they haven't been building a team around it. Ever since they made that conference finals, it's been downhill. They traded 3 firsts for DeJounte Murray just for that to end in 2 years. I think the Hawks they're really badly managed, poorly. Travis Slink, man. Terrence Mann, Bones Highland. Bones Highland is not that good. That's really his Bones Highland is hype is built off that 1v1 like with a trash talker like on YouTube, like 3 million views. That's what Bones Highlands is. He's a thought. But if I were to grade it, I'd give the Clippers. They got a shooter, Serbian shooter. Um, I like it. They get more offensively built because they're already a top 5 defensive team. You get more players to put the ball on the floor, create. That's what you need around Harden. You need shooters. They clearly feel that like they're there defensively. They're where they need to be. It's just when it comes down to playoff basketball, which we've all seen, a good defense can get picked apart. You need a better offense to pick apart the other team. I think I think that we need to understand that defensive teams help, but you also need the guys to create an offense. A playoff. What you need to win the playoffs is a solid foundation of players in terms of both skill sets. We've seen this with a bunch of teams who are good offensively and good defensively. They get stops and they score when they need to. The Celtics are the perfect example of these. They get stops when they need to, and they hit the perfect amount of threes to like make you rip your hair out. That's not. I don't say that's a perfect example because that's like mutated. That's like next level. The Celtics are next level in terms of what they do. The Mavericks last year in the playoffs, they had the guys to get the buckets and the guys to get the stops. They had them both. They were a great team defense, and it worked out. They got to the finals. Yes, they lost. I understand that. They probably won't ever get back, but it's whatever. I guess we'll talk about that when the playoffs come. But for me, the way I view is you need a good defense, good offense. You can't have one or the other. Good offense could work, good defense can't. This is not the 2004 Pistons. It's never gonna work again. All right, to tell you. If your team is just a good defensive team with no creators, I'm sorry. Just take that playoff appearance and just run with it. But yeah, I would say the Cavs rating, to get back to this Cavs rating, I would give them that's a A-minus. You guys got your wing, you got your shooter. The only thing you can really say bad about it is I'm sorry. This is the wrong trade. Um, the Clippers get Bogdanovich. I think that's A-minus. That's what I meant. I just said the wrong names. You get a guy who can shoot, you get a guy who can create, and you have more creators on the court compared to what you had before. I like this for the Clippers. You get it off of Terrence Mann. You get off of Bones Highland. They weren't really producing for you. 3 seconds or whatever. But yeah. So now that we're done with these important trades, we can talk about the biggest losers and the biggest winners. The 3 biggest losers. Let's start off negative. One of the biggest losers of this trade deadline, in my opinion, are the Bulls. The Bulls did nothing, pretty much. They really just got rid of Zach LaVine and nothing else. They got off Zach LaVine. They have way too many point guards. They didn't get off of Vucevic. They just have not say no direction because they're gonna be bad. But I think the management is so delusional enough, they don't think they're gonna be bad. That's the worst type of management. A team that is bad, but they don't know it. They think they're gonna be good in terms of they think they have the players to be good, but the team comp does not fit. 4 guards in the starting lineup is insane. This is Steve Kerr's dream. But I think the Bulls are clearly one of the biggest losers. I think that's I won't say the biggest because we all know who's number 1. We'll get to that later. But yeah, Bulls, one of the biggest losers. No moves. The second of the biggest losers. Let me think about this because we know what's number 1. I would say the Pelicans. The Pelicans are one of the biggest losers for the trade deadline because they traded BI way too late. They got realistically nothing out of him. Their season is over. They have no hopes of making to the playoffs. DeJounte Murray's out for the season. It's just one of the worst seasons you could ever. This is the worst case scenario. Herb Jones is out. Zion's in and out. BI was out for the whole year. DeJounte Murray's out. CJ has been in and out. I think this is really bad. I feel bad for them in terms of they had hopes going into the year, but now it's been shot down from the start. And now they can I would say they're losers because they can go in a direction, but they have to make more moves to go in a direction. So they went in a direction but didn't go all the way. They like put their foot in the door of we're going this way, of we're gonna try to rebuild around our guys. But like, I don't know. If you really want me to say you're a winner, Zion's gotta go. He clearly isn't what you guys expected him to be. Not say build around Trey Murphy and Herb Jones, because those are I've said this from 2 years ago. Trey Murphy and Herb Jones should have been the guys trade Brandon Ingram, but they just held on to him, and now they got nothing out of him. So I think it's just they're losers in terms of they did too little too late. And the biggest loser is Dallas Mavericks. We know this. You traded Luca, you traded your future, you got nothing out of it. You got 3/4 of AD. AD's out for a couple months, if not like season-ending surgery. The Mavericks have been injured this whole year. You now have a shorter window from when you started this initial trade, which is insane because I don't understand how this works. Kyrie seems like he's not happy. The Mavericks fans aren't happy. Jason Kidd doesn't even seem happy. He's not talking to the press. Clear losers. And the three biggest winners, we know who's won. For number 3, for one of the 3 winners, I would say the Cavs. The Cavs made a move that is has potential to move the needle to where they want to be because they clearly want to win a ring. They clearly are good enough when like we see they're firing all cylinders. How will this translate to the playoffs in terms of you have 2 small guards on the court and one not liability on either side? It's really like pick and choose. Max Strus, shooter, liability on defense. Isaac Okoro, liability on offense. You can defend. You now have those 2 mixed together in DeAndre Hunter. You have the guy who will be guarding the other team's best players. You have Mobley and Allen, who are the best big duo in the league. Oh, maybe. They're one of them. I wouldn't say best. They're one of them. And I like this move going forward. We got yeah, I like that move. I would say they're one of the winners. Especially if they go out and make a run. They got it. Winner number 2. Winner in terms of they pick their direction, I would say the Warriors. Warriors are all in. If in the past, I would have said they were big losers because they still have these young guys on their roster who clearly aren't equating to winning. And they should have. I said this in 21 or 21, 22 when I drafted Kuminga and Moody. They should have traded those picks for players who could win now. They thought that they could do this 2 timeline stuff and it would work out. It has failed so miserably. Ever since they won the ring, it's been downhill. Poole got punched. Chris Paul, they traded from Chris Paul. They didn't even trade Chris Paul. They cut him. And it was like, no, they traded Chris Paul for nothing. Yeah, I think Warriors are winners because they picked their direction. And we have I feel a clear chance to win with Curry being able to not be as pressured every night. So I think they are not clear winners because you still got to understand like they are old. This could collapse at any moment. I understand that. But them picking all in on Curry, which they clearly were going to do anyway, that is what I feel like is the win. And the number 1 clear winner, the Lakers. Lakers are the clear winners. If they had this Mark Williams trade, I think it'd be above and beyond. But they clearly won. They got Luka. They're competing now. They're going to compete in the next for the next couple years, 10 years. They got their future. They got their next superstar. They got their next Magic Johnson. I don't want to talk about the Lakers anymore. It's hard. But yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for the episode. We got we had a good one. Thank you for watching. If you still are, thank you for listening. Every Tuesday, 5 p.m., I will have this show, the One and Done Radio Show, and we'll be catching up with the NBA no matter what it is. We will find something. I hope you all have a great day. Tune in next week. where we will be talking about whatever news happens. We'll find out. We adapt. That's the type of show we are. We are gonna adapt. But yeah, everyone have a good day. Go Mavs.